Hey, what's up everyone? It's Flex and Joe. I'm back with a little bit of a different video today. I'm actually going to be reviewing a set of trades from a friend of mine. Really good trader, really good at back testing, has a really defined system. And so we just want to look at his trades just because I think it's a good idea to just get the practice and to see the market from another lens, but also looking at his trades. He had a really good run here and then he went on a very very bad losing streak, right? So to lose 11 trades in a row when you're trading within a system is something interesting. So just want to pull this up. I'm not going to name the trader. I don't want to uh, you know remove the anonymity that he has, and also I consider him a friend. And but I just think that there could be value in this for all of us, and that's why I'm going to do it. So we're going to start with trade number 30 here, and we'll just work our way backwards, right? I just want to go through these 11 losers, because otherwise, I think if I go through all of these, this video is going to be 2 hours, and I don't want that. So I'm going to apologize in advance for these monkeys behind me. These dogs have been wrestling. Um, it's just a wild day in the Flex and Joe house with these dogs now. So looking at trade number 30, right? That's on 11/12. And that's the entry price right there, 68.8075. So let's go back and find that. I already got ahead of it and I pre-marked it. So here's the key takeaways I have from this trade, just looking at where we are on ES. And then we'll look at VIX and NQ for the same day, just because I always look at the three of them, right? So here, what do we have? We have what appears to be a very obvious break and base under the pre-market low, right? So here's midnight. So if you're marking the pre-market low like at midnight, or if you're marking it post 3 a.m., which is after the London Open, either way, you can just see a very clear level of support. So they moved down, chopped, attempted another move down, actually cracked lower, and it was bought back up, right? So these buyers were trying to push over to break a pre-market high. They failed, right? When they failed, buyers, they get stopped out. And then, after the first 30 minutes, when he enters, you have your orb set. So, it puts in the orb low. It puts in the orb low. And then it's on this candle here, this white candle, because his entry is listed at 7:04 a.m. That's West Coast time. So it would be on this candle. So he enters in long before the candle by candle flips. And then look where it closes. And so his entry here long, and then this sort of close is really weak. Like I understand, his system and the way he handles his stops, but I don't like that. I mean, I think I see bearish EMAs. I see your under VWAP. Like you have your look at this is the 5, the 12, the 20, and then the 3450 cloud is pinching and potentially going to cross over. This is a very bearish look, very bearish setup. And honestly, it ends up being choppy and kind of gross, but clear break and base to the short side, to the downside, right? So just kind of collecting some notes on here. This is trade number 30. It was a long trade, bearish EMAs. This CPC flip candle, that doesn't matter. He just entered in long before there was a CPC flip. But that's pretty much it, right? Bearish EMAs, under VWAP, break and base under pre-market low. So let's go to VIX for that same day. So that right here, we want to close this. We're going to slide back to 12th. All right, so here we have VIX on the 12th. I'm going to do this, make it easy. So that would have been right around here. This is my normal VIX drawing set. So this tells you I have this highlighted for a reason, and this is because you had a very, very strong 512 EMA cross and retest. So this is like exactly where your 9 EMA would be. So candle by candle had already flipped short on VIX. And then when he entered, it wasn't moving. It would have been moving back up, not down. And this is like a break and base on pre-market high. I mean, it's pretty close to it for VIX. Also, here's the prior day's closing price, which would have been right here at 4 a.m. Just want to mark that. It would have been right here at 4 a.m. So from my perspective, you have, really a breakthrough and then a retest of that closing price to potentially move back higher. This is a really, really powerful candle, and I wouldn't be looking for a long until we could break down below it. And you see they hold it. And then another thing, I mean, I guess they break down below the golden zone of it, but pretty powerful, pretty strong, right? We move this back over. Let's look at backed up now. Let's look at NQ for the same day. Quick. Oof. NQ, hella bearish. Like, super bearish. Like, I want to emphasize this was bearish. So, what I'm looking at here, and what I'm going to put here, so like, obviously, VIX observations, VIX strong, over, we've called previous day close and pre-market high. NQ agreements, not for long. So I would say NQ agreements is NQ is not an agreement to go long. Like, why would I say NQ is not an agreement to go long? You know, here's the candle for entry, and it's you know, it is the CBC flip candle, but obviously before it flips, but it is pushing back up into an area of concern. What is that area of concern? It's this area right here, the prior day's close. We had a gap up, a flush down, and now we are pushing into the previous day's close. This is the previous day's close retest. So anybody who was a buyer here at the end of the day, market on close orders, they got flushed through. They're going to get out. They're going to try to get out. So I don't like this long anywhere at all. That's me personally. You know, the 5 and the 12 cloud were fanning out well after such a significant drop, because this is a significant drop too. What are we looking at here? 210 points in 20 minutes. The EMAs are starting to fan out and be wide. Like, this is a D- short scalp, if you will. So we'll go ahead and just mark that down. So we're going to go ahead and then go to the next one, which is on the 11th. It is a long at 68.39. All right. So go to ES. All right, that's VIX. Here's ES. The long at 68.39. What time? 8:39 at 7:41 a.m. That'd be 10:41 market time. So we're looking at here. Oof. Entries back here. And I think he uses the 15-minute chart too, so that's just going to throw me off my normal price action. But again, like, you're not getting a clear break in base under these pre-market lows here, but like they're just chopping and consolidating. I feel like this had the opportunity to be like kind of 50-50 to roll over some, right? Same look, you're under the EMAs, everything, they're stacked up bearish. There had to have been some sort of like wacky news here that driving this on the 11th. I feel like there was. I can't remember what it was. I know that if Shiny Object Syndrome watches this video, Shiny, he knows, because he has just a wealth of knowledge and keeps, you know, very, very detailed notes. But this one's tough. I think the worst part about this one, or the most unfavorable part about this one, is 68.39. Oh, he took it twice. It's 7.25 and 7.41. It was a double loser. 7.25 would have been on this candle right here. And then again at 7.41 would have been on this candle. So 2 candles later. So boom, here and here. Man, that's tough. Like, that's tough because I mean, it's, you have bearish EMAs, you have everything there to say that that's a great place to short the pop. You also have the 10-minute CBC as bearish. You can see that the bears are decisively in control. It's tough. I feel like this is some sort of news-driven crap. Let's go back to the prior day. So the prior day on VIX, sorry, what did we have here? 11:11. VIX was still breaking out. So here's, yeah, I have this orange drawing. The reason I have this orange drawing is to just sort of highlight. I'm going to turn it down. It just highlights for me like when there was an opening gap down on the VIX this day. So like we bounced down at 9:30 and then it chopped before it filled this gap. So that 9:30 a.m. opening gaps I mark, as well as the 4 p.m. close. So the thing is that same thing as the prior day. You have a breakdown under the close closing price, and then it attempts to move lower, bounces essentially off 17.5, goes back up, fills that gap down, and then is basing off of it. So even at the 1025 candle, you know, this is saying bearish as well. So that says bearish. ES says bearish. Let's go to NQ. Would have been 11th. And that was bearish as well, right? Had a candle by candle flip that was flipped back down. Here's the first entry. So they're not in alignment for taking a long. I know that the system, I think, is to try to take like pre-market low fake outs based off that 15-minute chart, but this isn't showing really any signs of fake out. This is just showing consolidation at and under the pre-market lows. I kind of have to wonder if maybe there's just a little bit of a psychological impact on this one to just like, hey, I see my setup, I want to get in the trade, but like not maybe rating that this setup is not as wonderful as the other ones. And could you, especially on the second one, have like if you really wanted to take it again, had a bid much lower, which would have afforded you the luxury of staying in it. Because yeah, where's the prior day's close or under the prior day's close? Here's the other thing I would see too. So I would mark the prior day's close like this, and then I always go to where the opening is. And so this to me is also a bearish signal. So we gapped down, we came up, we rejected the golden zone of that gap, and then pushed lower. When we push lower, that would be like a negative 0.5. Yeah, we broke through that and we went down actually probably right into the negative like golden zone of it. So at least a half measured move. We didn't get the full measured move, which would be -1. But yeah, that the measured move part of it is not as important as like this is like, hey, this doesn't look good. So I'm not going to be looking to get long until we are moving back up and trying to hold inside of this area. So leave that be. Fix filled the gap, and then same day, let's look at the same thing on NQ. It didn't even come up. That's another bearish signal. It came up only a VWAP, didn't come all the way before they both were flushing lower. This is pretty bearish, and this one did hit the measured move. I'm almost guarantee it. Yep, boom, it does. Here's your measured move of the gap, right? So the gap is from here to here. It's so many points. Same number of points as the gap goes down here. It's measured move. Look with the 10-minute chart, you're getting buying off of that, and your that's probably your daily 20 EMA. So you're getting buying off the daily 20 EMA, and then it pushes on ES. The daily 20 EMA is much lower, but all right. So that takes care of like both of those two losses. Let me pause the video and update the notes. Okay, so notes are in for that one. I'll include this just to try to keep a record of like what was consistent. So go to the next one. 1110 short at 68.19. 10 short 68.19. When was that? Short 16 7:40 a.m. That's 10. Wait. This one shouldn't be marked as a loss. I think it's because he was shooting for a higher RR. Where's the stop? Stop was 15 points, isn't it? That would have been high of day, roughly here. Oh, dude. I mean, this trade doesn't fit the system. Like, at least I don't think so. Like, wouldn't the trade have been like maybe here? Or I guess because if you're counting all of this, okay, so if you're counting all of this as a pre-market high sweep, but then like when you break pre-market low, that's like major pivot to scale and stop. Like I know the whole RR thing, but like let me look at this. I want to like this so I can find it. Let me look at this on the okay. Whoa. That I mean, you had several strong closures, and then you had a 15-minute failed flag here above the is coming into it. Above the, I mean, that was actually quite nice. I was trying to hold that, it just failed. Yeah, that I think is like the. Oh man, where do we go? Go back in September. That one to me is just that's tough. That's really tough. Like because you broke down an appears sweep under the pre-market low, which honestly is like a trigger setup for another, another trade in and of itself. And then the thing that I would call out is I really don't want to change time frame again, but I'm going to. Is okay. So is the fact that like this is a short trade here, so you don't know what happens all happened, right? So it's a short entry trade here after what, like a gap up, and like this obviously failed breakdown, right? We cruise all the way through the 50 and 55 EMA here, only to surge back up and close back over that cloud. That's honestly, that's a failed breakdown. That's pretty bullish, right? Like that's considering the higher time frame here. One would almost think like even if this was like a 2-minute chart or a 10-minute chart, you'd be like, okay, well, I like that. I'll get long here, and then even if you're risking that candle's low, like yeah, it's a lot, but like that's like the proper risk, and then what's the target? Probably, breaking the highs or something. But like I would say even at least breaking the high of this bearish candle, and that's about 1-to-1, just to scale some and move stop, and then you scale and you get stopped, and then it holds the same low, right? But anyways, I mean that's just, I guess you can run this any way you want to run it. That's I mean that's not the point. He has got a system. I just think it's tough. It's definitely tough. And if we look at that, we look at that again really quick. Let's look at like things like the gap up. I know my strategy and not yours, but let's look at that. Okay, so this is a Saturday gap up or Sunday gap up, right? So here's Friday. Here's the open of the Monday morning. That's a strong gap up. And what did they do? They came back and retouched the daily 20 EMA. It's hard. Even you still have 34, like 20, 34, 50, 200. Like those are bullish signs. And Q that day, like I get it around the same time of 748 entry would have been on this candle here. A little early to say the flag is completely broken down to like get in it. This was a huge sell candle, so like something happened. I just feel like somebody said something silly. They brought it back down. They grabbed the same bid off the daily 20 EMA. And here's your London opening range low that gets swept. That's really nice. Like this is, in hindsight trade review, this is one of those trades that just like, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Like hammer candle here, seller exhaustion, they still can't break the low. They come back down here, you get a key level sweep, and it closes back up above. If you can get a long entry here at the open is fine. I mean, you're at 486. You're risking about 40 points. Maybe you size down to appropriately to hold it, and then you try to even add lower just as a planned average down if you can get in the wick. But man, that looks strong. And then This pays epic. This pays really epic. I think it's just I guess the only feedback that I have is that both NQ, yes, I'm sorry, VIX was frustratingly weird here because it ended up creating the same gap, right? After it gapped down and didn't want to move any lower, and then it started to pop back up. So VIX had an orb low break in base. This was an old gap that it hadn't quite filled. Orb low break in base. So then you had, sorry, orb low fake out breakout, moves down lower, and then it pops up pretty high. And that was the pop that was like when you're getting short. So like the short, and then you can see where start getting the same thing, the same rejection. So hammer candle inside the prior one that was a flip is usually not good either. But again, not trying to get too complicated because I know watch the NQ and VIX. I just want to call that out because I do. Holy crap, I'm at 21 minutes already. We were trades. Sorry. 11-3. Two longs. I'm sorry. I think just to leave it here. I think the key takeaway is constantly assessing the market structure as it's changing. It could afford you another opportunity. But I know hard thing to do, right? Because like, what's the rule? What's the hard and fast way of saying, hey, my strategy is now telling me I should flip because the market's changing? Or at least maybe your strategy could tell you I need to move my stop down because the market structure could be changing and there's no reason to take the loss on this. That's my thought. 11-3, two longs at 68.77. 11-3, two longs. 8.77. We got long at 7 and 7.10. So here it is. Boom, like boom, boom, like same two candles in a row. Boom, boom. That's a tough one, dude. It literally looks like I can see how the 15-minute would look in my mind too. It looks like a pre-market low, session low, fake out breakout. So we flip back to those. It's tough. Other thing. Buy me some. Stops. That's a tough one. You know what though? I like that this is a tough one because sometimes we're just going to lose. That's a really important thing to know. Sometimes we're just going to lose. I don't have all the answers. I don't know that I would have played this any differently than you did because like it works. Okay, the gap is filled. Okay, we've broken down under here. I like that we kind of broke down under this end of day low here, and like when the regular session closes and we get this little like kind of not Globex but after hours session. Yeah, I like it. Like I see how it all goes. Same thing on VIX. It's tough. The VIX, what the VIX is telling me here though is because you got in at 7.10, so you would have been in at this candle. That's still tough. Like that looks like a pre-market high base forming and trying to, and that's what they tried to do. Just didn't get any legs. This is like after a gap is a post. This setup right here is post gap fill, golden zone gap retest, and they play it well. And then once you see that like I would know seeing that retest and the way that they're holding the 10-minute 20, that VIX is going to go up and then the market's going to go down. But this would already be the 10-20 candle, and if you look at ES, you're already stopped. VIX kept going and the market was turning around. If I'm looking at this correctly. 11.7. Oh, that's the wrong friggin' day altogether. Jesus, Joe. Get it together, dude. Yeah, it looks like Biggs broke a session high and then closed back down as well. It's just still bullish. It goes a couple more candles. Right by previous day high. Breaks previous day high on VIX and then flushes back down, and that should, I don't know, a lot, dude. I think that this might be just like, hey, you gotta lose. That's okay. And you know what especially sucks is, look at this. Like, your trade worked fabulously well on NQ. The same exact trade parameters. Here's the pre-market low. You get the sweep. It comes back in there. Of course, the sweep was later, right? So you would have waited longer. But it comes back in there. If you entered anywhere in here, or especially with like this size stop, like you would have run out of time in terms of like hitting like TP. Like it just doesn't go. But you don't get stopped either. Like, so if you ran out of time, you might just, you know, even if you got something, right, depending on where you entered, you know, you might get only like, you know, might be targeting more, but you get 40, 50 locked in on the whole thing. Okay. Could be loser though. I think it's I'm just, could be just a loser. Worked better on NQ that day. I know you with, yes, I mean, that was 11.3 long. Sit tight. Okay, I got it. Yeah, so I got the short observation in there. Let me about maybe should have moved stop with market pro key pivot. You know, the long could just be a loser. Worked out better on NQ that day. Fixed observations for that day. Third here. Just looked strong, honestly. Looked strong, holding over. Still closed over the key pivot, right? Like it's closed 2 candles over the key pivot. So I would say still holding strong over key pivot over EMA. Short. So I like that you retake the trade. I think that a lot of people probably. So on Halloween, 7:44 a.m., 10:44 market time. Oh, East Coast, Best Coast. Playing. I listened to Tupac and Dre too. All right. Sorry, 11:31. There's no 11:31. 10:31. Go here. ES 10:31. That was 68.96. Okay. I see this one too. I think it's the same thing. You know, you already like made the high and then you're coming back down and you've just flushed through all the EMAs. So I think that's the, you know, because that's the structure of it. Like you know, forget about this cloud for a second, because you know, so here's your like 10-minute 200 failing to go back above it. You like this was a break above the prior day's high and it failed, right? So you have, when you have this big failure and the market structure shifts, pushes down lower, right? Like makes me think that the target is going to be here, which coincidentally, what happens in this area, they fail to base to go lower, and then it comes back up. But like you know, if you wouldn't know that, right? Like, what do you have at the time of your entry? You've got this. Oops, y'all seen that? I highlighted. I wasn't trying to cheat. You have this because your entry is at 10. I'm sorry, yeah. So hold up, you got. You're on this candle. Oh, no, you're on this candle. Oh, okay, hold on. You're on this right here. Why is the entry so late? It's 7:44. If it was waiting for a 15-minute candle closure, you should have either had to wait another minute or you would have gone in at 7:31. Trying to remember everything about your strat, but still like, yeah, you're getting in right as it would be rejecting this retest of old demand. And then it's a failure. Yeah, they failed to hold VWAP. These are your failed VWAP buyers that are like going to be stuck right there. Look, because they barely just overlap the wicks, and the buyers are looking to flush it back down. And then this is the other thing too, is I gotta say, like at a certain point, there's probably a little bit nuanced of like, you know, reading the market structure, but this looks really strong, right? Like they look like they're holding VWAP, and it looks like the 512 cloud is about to curl. This is a failed 512 curl. Like this is a great short. Like when this 512 curl fails, it flushes back down. Yeah, this is a. No, it wasn't your trade. Your trade was a long, scary trade. Not up that high, but I can't. You know, it's almost the auto magnet. Oh yeah, dude. And then like VIX is popping. But the market, so VIX had popped, it curled back. VIX is making a small pullback, right, relative to what the market is. It's also trying to hold now the golden zone of the gap that it filled, right? It broke through, closes here. I'm thinking VIX is always like from this point. I'm always thinking VIX is going to go here, which is bearish for the market. Um, but it's tough because like you got in long, yeah, right as VIX was holding the EMAs. Okay, and then NQ, same, nearly same thing with that V. Oh shoot, nearly same thing with that VWAP thing there. Whoever this buyer was, it was obvious they did something good. See that wick down there makes the new high, way over yesterday's high, prior day's high. I have a gap up here. Oh man, I already know. Oh, the gap up is from here. Dang. Yep. Well, that's one of the ones that doesn't get filled. That's nasty. That's a nasty spill off. Yeah. Same thing. Failed 512 curls are a great short. All right, let me write some notes down. Oh damn. All right, so I got the notes in, right? Long, going long while basing under old demand. Stuck buyers trying to get out in downside fib. I'll show that in a second. VIX was setting up to break basically a high, which is bearish. NQ was in agreement still. Like I understand that like you had, you know, had broken back under and went pushed back up. This is the bearish golden zone. Coincidentally, I remember this day. I remember trading and looking at the market this day very well. And this was a really, really nasty spill off trade. This was pretty great. You know, you didn't need to try to like get in on the short here, but you know, this was all showing you kind of how it was flip flopping, especially on NQ2. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one. I think it just pulled back way too much, and you know, probably started losing steam. I would venture a guess that the volume probably petered off too, which is good. So let's go to the next one. 1127. Oh, sorry, 1027 short. Okay, really quickly, I don't think this trade fits the system. So 1027, what we're looking at right here. 27 short, 68.85, 716. Here's okay here. Okay, because we just broke pre-market high. Never mind. I see it. Tough, 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 tough. Right back into VWAP. See it, and then it just melted up. Like I see it. I see how I could see the whole thing playing out after such a big gap up. See the whole thing playing out. Good. Let's see on 1027. Story was you telling us similar, similar thing. Similar thing. Broke back down. Right. Yeah, it broke back down and then worked. Yeah. Damn. But the thing is just you know, I mean, you knew kind of almost instantly it wasn't going to work when it recovered like that so quickly. So at least it's a faster stop. Yeah, I mean, it recovered pretty quick and then just kept trying to hold people up. That was tough. That was tough. Does this look good too? For like, you know, they reloaded for a second attempt. That's the one thing I would say though, where you could potentially know they're getting out sooner, and it probably will come with experience. Is that you see that they push back down, right? They push this down, then the buyers are pushing back up. Buyers push back up, but the sellers here. This is why when I used to play like some reversal trades, and I still do this now when I'm looking for targets and directionally, I will scale out in the upper 10% of that candle because you know, like people will draw supply like from you know here to here, if people will draw supply zones typically like this and it goes from here to here and there it is, and then so if you look at like where people will get back in that supply is like in the upper 10% of the candle, which is right in here, which happens to be like that golden zone. Actually, you would probably draw it the other way, right? You would draw it here, and they would look to defend their position, and that's wow, surprising exactly where those things overlook, but that's one of the things that I learned. Anyways, they reload, and then they fail to push it back lower, and then you get this doji candle. So pushes back lower, holds VWAP, doji candle inside the prior one, signaling selling weakness, and it just starts to turn back against you. So that I think like structure, just like with another trade, structure could have potentially um, helped you to get out. This is another thing too that where like you know people who set up they set up kind of like I'll do this or this and then I'll do this or that whatever, and then they're like here's like a no fly zone, so like I don't do anything inside these two red lines, because like, and I've seen traders explain this, you know, bearish under pre-market lows, right? Because you know if we've broken the pre-market lows and we especially if we pull back gently into it, it's usually a reload for the shorts to move lower. Buyers get out, sellers step in. So you sucks because you're trying to go short, but like you're back inside the range. So, but I know that's how all the trades go because you're gonna go pre-market high and then you're gonna come back down in the range. Yeah, that's the system. So never mind what I just said about the whole breaking base thing up there. Sorry, I'm just like cranking up the minutes on this video. Yes, was an agreement. Fix. We would have already been in here. And the VIX continued to climb up. And it wasn't until you got really the lower high at 1140 that you would know that, well, you wouldn't know it's lower high until here. So it'd be 12 o'clock is when this candle closed. I would say that's when you can say this is a lower high, because you candle flip back up and then you flip back down, signifying, sellers have lowered their bid type of thing, lower high. So that would be 12. Oh yeah, you're already like blown out. Yeah. So yeah, honestly, it looked kind of good for the short. Without going too heavy into the gap theory, thinking this stop, because sandwich between gaps that are strong. So that was the current day's one. All right, going to the next one. You have two shorts. One's on 10.4. That was at short 8:45, 11:45. We're at 33. $7.5. God, you literally got stopped at high day. That break. Same number. Oh, damn. You literally top ticked the stop. Why was the stop that tight? Should it not have been over high of day risk, like not at equal to? Even by like a point? That's interesting. Man, that sucks. At least at the close, when they go close enough to where the bell rings, you would be closing it for profit. Probably not everything you desired, but it's like one of the ones that runs out of time. Okay, I'm gonna skip the. It sucks. Like I want to write that down. Like, all right, so same thing. VIX was too choppy. Didn't offer any value. Been on there. Value too choppy. Stop. Why was stop that high? NQ and agreements. Yeah, I would say it was. This was a big news day, though. I don't know what this was. CPI or NFP or something like that. That was a big news day. So I'm put down on there too. You never know. Maybe there's some more data. Agreements. Yeah, I would say it was. Well, whatever. Yeah, all these other ones have been yes. Um, short 6748. All right, damn. Like right here. Ooh, okay, so yeah, you're back inside the range, right? From there's your pre-market high, 3 a.m. Held 10-minute 20 though. In the opening print. That's best stuff. Didn't know it was gonna hold that though. I mean, you got in short and you went to profit. Doesn't say that on your sheet, the max like point, but it does. Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I see the setup. I see the setup. See the setup. The only thing with the market structure is like you after you lost the 10-minute 20, you wrote it down, then it claimed. So it's the first. I don't know how often that works. Facts on that. see it. I mean, I could see your trade. I just wish I had more to offer. I think so. And day prior 67, 60. What am I gonna write down for that before I get to the day prior? I would say like writing like the tell the 10-minute structure stay cut on that one. So this is the third. VIX on the 23rd would have been dropping. Oops. Oh, that's better looking on you for the long. It holds a 10 line. And here. Yeah, VIX had broken under the low too and looked like it was gonna pop back up, which would be bearish for the initial, but then I would just be looking at it. That's the one thing I would look at is this is, you know, where I would have my bases loaded because they all flip, right? ES is flip short and Q is short, all that stuff. But the thing is that it's always that first flip into the EMAs. I don't want to trip. I don't want to trade that one. I don't want to. I don't want to go with this move. Like I want to fade it. I want to fade it and like right there. Off 10 minutes 20 again. Yeah. Ed had it did fill the gap and then push. Yeah, filled the gap and then tested it. I think quick. Fill the gap. Okay. So makes sense. Last one, a long trade. 67, 69. Really sorry. Sorry it went this long. 67, 69. I see it, but this has a lot in common with the other ones you had too. Like going long here, higher, into like bearish EMAs, and yeah, opposite. Yeah, closing prices holding. I mean, or I should say, it holds again, and then they finally flush it down. Yeah, this one's a nasty short setup, to be honest. Like, flip the CBC back long, they fail it again, and then this is where that candle closes. Like, you have subsequent candle closes. I know the dojis, but you know, yeah, that's the doji method is, you know, you see the candles are closing lower and lower. That's giving you the sense of direction. So yeah, I think this is a lot like the other ones. I think that, you know, basically we could out a little bit just to make see. Basically, it's like this. You know, both of these ones. So yeah, I think that actually puts 4 trades that all had that one thing in common. So I like maybe if we get to this point, I'm really, you know, I'm sorry if you stuck around this long, but you know, it's a really long video, but maybe that's the one thing that could be the key takeaway is, you had 4 trades that were very similar in terms of why they ended up being stops instead of probably just going the other way with the price action. And I know it's not your strategy, so to speak, but you just double check. 22 big gapped up here. This is a big 930 gap off the open. First touch into the EMAs here, and then yeah, it would have been obvious that VIX was holding its orb low here. That's the most obvious thing. VIX was holding orb low here. Even had, if we going really close, going like really close to make it obvious. This is the orb low right here, a little orb low fake out breakout. It's really small. It is really small. It's hard to see, but it would have been easier to see on your own. And then NQ 722, 7. Oh, sorry, 1022. Why am I up saying 7? Yeah, NQ kind of same thing, right? Doesn't fill the gap. Let me fill that gap perfect. I can't remember. No, it doesn't. It didn't fill the gap. Didn't fill the gap and it's still closed back under. So again, that's like long-term back testing. If it doesn't fill the gap and it closes back outside of it, it's likely to go in the same direction as the gap, which the same direction as the gap is short, not long. So that would have been on this candle. You closing, here. I remember this being just this is really choppy, and a lot of people just get burned out on that. But sorry again, I'm rambling. Look, hope you found some value in this video. Hope you find it helpful. I think that's why it's a really good thing to just go back and look at your trades, right? Winning and losing trades. I know I just did 11 losers, but from a good trader friend of mine, and I thought that it'd be valuable. I'm taking away value from this session, from just again studying and getting that repetition in, and that's one of the great things about studying your trading is getting the reps in and really reading price action, understanding, okay, how did this look here, then how did it play out? So it's just things like that the reps in, right? Like I talked about with the doji method, where I talked about where make a move deck down, and then inside doji likely to go back the other way. So yeah, if you found video, if you liked the video, if it helped you, just give me a thumbs up, please. Subscribe, comment, all those things that will help out the YouTube algorithm, and maybe I can help some more people. Appreciate you all. None of this is financial advice because we're all just just covering trades that already happened in the past, and these were all losers. So chill, everybody. Thanks, guys. Love yous.